Welcome to FCC Supporters Square. For fans, by fans, and about fans. Here are your hosts, Mark Subin and Matt Gorman. Hey, everybody, it's FCC Supporters Square, your favorite Thursday night thing to do when you have absolutely nothing else to do. That's right. We're here. We're excited. Our fans are excited. This week we do have a guest. Unfortunately, Mark did get called up with Vasquez to the USM national team. He and I played so well at the center back during the St. Louis loss. He got called up too. So he won't be here this week, but hopefully next week or in 2 weeks we'll see him. But instead, I do have a guest. Tyler, let me see if I can say your name right. Meinerding? I'm saying I'm killing it.
Meinerding.
There we go. See, that's why we do all the prep here. That's where we spare no expense on show prep. It's actually zero. So let's get into what happened last week. We have a little bit of a break after, was it 11 matches in 35 days?
Yeah.
For our football friendly fans, you play games once a week, and then when you have a Thursday game after a Sunday, you guys are like, that's not fair. That's just not fair. Well, that's true for soccer. We play once a week, except for we played Sunday, Wednesday, or Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday. It's crazy. Man. So imagine playing 11 regular football games in 35 days.
I can't imagine. There would be riots.
Exactly. You'd be tired people out there. So I think that's it. Did you get a chance to watch the Vancouver game? It was 10:30 on a Saturday. So
I actually had a golf outing on Saturday. So by the time that 10:30 rolled around, I was pretty pooped at that point. But I was able to catch up on the game a little bit. So a little disappointing to drop 2 points there late, and unfortunately, Miazga made a little bit of a blunder there at the end. But honestly, he's been so solid for us this season so far. One mistake, after the gauntlet of games that we've just gone through, and we still came away with a point on the road against a Western Conference team. So I'm not too upset about it. Sucks a little bit, but mistakes happen.
This is how far we've come. I remember when we would wish for a tie. I mean, a win was out of the question. But hey, did you see that? We somehow tied that team, and they're 18th in the table out of 20, right? Like, wait, no. So when we lose 2 points when we kind of had 2 points in hand, that just shows you the quality of this team, is that everybody's a little disappointed. I thought last week, I said it felt not so much as a trap game, but it's been a long game. That's all. They had a what was that, a Tuesday match before that?
Yeah.
A long travel, just the grind of everything, and it's not on turf. It's on turf, not grass.
Yeah.
So that ball bounced all over the place. And that team, the Vancouver team, also played about the same amount of games. I think they said 14 games in 35 days. So They played even more than we did. And it's their home. It's home cooking, fortunately. But there was just two somewhat rotated teams that were really tired, playing on a surface that should not be for balls that should not bounce that far, right? Yeah. You're used to it in a football where you can see it just bounce up high and return it for a punt for 15 yards as opposed to just dying dead there. In soccer, we don't like the one goal that Vancouver almost scored. You could just tell. I think it was Murphy that was playing it. He played it. He was waiting for it to bounce and hit him right in the chest, and it bounced over his head. Solitano kind of made an emergency save, and it didn't turn into anything. But you could just tell that they're not used to that kind of surface, and which is good for the sport. But So did you watch any on Apple Plus, or at least the highlights?
I was able to catch the highlights, and obviously I had to catch Acosta's goal, which was, oh my God, that thing was just a thing of beauty. And I've been really thinking about it this year, and like I know Lucho was a very talented player coming in, but man, sometimes I feel like I underestimate him, like how good he really is. I don't know if I don't want this to sound I don't want this to come across in the wrong way or not, but sometimes I don't feel like I fully appreciate how good that guy is. And this season he just blows me away more and more every week.
And that's the fun of joining in, right? So you're never going to know all the history. You're going to join in where you join in. Mm-hmm. So Lucho Acosta has always been a very talented player, and when he was playing with Wayne Rooney at DC United, those two were fantastic. Rooney retired. He had the DC team with him and 10 jumps. Mm-hmm. I remember hearing this from the DC homegrown guys, the podcast guys. They were saying, yeah, you've got good Lucho and bad Lucho, and we're not seeing very good Lucho right now because he's getting frustrated. He passes the ball and nobody knows what to do with it. That first season with us, that was kind of that way. Last year with Pat Noonan, I think they had to build up that trust level because he showed flashes of brilliance, but then there were some times where he just get in the way or do some things that he shouldn't do. He's got great chemistry with Ariel and the whole team. I think he's got great chemistry with Pat Noonan, and you can just see, right? It doesn't matter what sport it is, any sport. When the team has chemistry, because you've seen teams that have all these supposed superstars, and you put them all together, but they don't really like each other. They're there for paychecks, or I'm at the big city team, so obviously we're expected to win, and surely got enough talent to coast by. But you can tell that they're just not a team. This is a team that has talent, but this is a team first.
Oh, absolutely. And that's a I'm fairly new to soccer. It's going on. I jumped on with FCC in full time in 2017. But even like me, like I could tell a huge difference between the Jaap Stam FCC team and the Pat Noonan team, because you watch those Jaap Stam teams, and not to harp on him, he obviously came in here and tried to win, but it was just like they didn't move the ball in it with any purpose. And then all of a sudden Noonan comes in, and it's like, okay, I know they're actually trying to set something up. I can see them working the angles and trying to move forward. And it's amazing how much of a difference Noonan has done for this city and this team.
It seems like the last two coaches that we had were like system coaches, right? So in football they have system coaches too. They want to play a 3-4 instead of a 4-3. Two high safeties. By the way, I kind of know football. But and then if you go, well, I don't play 4-3, I play 3-4. It's like, well, we'll try to shoehorn you in somewhere. So that's what Jaap Stam, he had a system of play that really didn't suit the players that he had. And Pat Noonan, I think, had a system of play, but he has a flexible system. And now he's found a balance of what he wants to do and what his players can do. And you could just see the joy on the pitch, right? You just see that it's not just a back heel to be fancy. It's a back heel to get to pass to somebody else who makes a nice cross, who scores a goal, right? Instead of trying to show off that I can dribble through three players, I'm going to beat these two players because I know that player that you don't see is running down the left hand or the right hand side, and he's going to make that pass.
Absolutely.
It's a joy to watch a team that's having fun, and it's also a joy to be in a stadium where it's crazy. So have you been to any games this year?
Yes. So I'm actually a season ticket holder. So I have been since 2018, I think was my first season as full season ticket holder. So I'm in the northeast and corner over in 111. So we're right next to the Bailey. So
you're right next to my people at 110.
Yes.
So you'll see a lot of brigade flags over where you're sitting.
Absolutely. Yep. We see them every week. So the atmosphere at FCC games, and that was what got me hooked on FCC to begin with. Was me and my brother we watched every sport there is under the sun, but we never got into soccer. And then 2016, we go over to London for the Bengals Redskins game, and we're like, let's tour a stadium. We ended up going to Chelsea, toured Stamford Bridge, and we got back and it was like we just traveled halfway around the world to go visit a soccer stadium. It was like we got Cincinnati. That's well, we're in Dayton now, but it was like we got a team right down here an hour away. It's like why don't we go check out a game? And we went in 2017. We watched the Pittsburgh Riverhounds game, and I looked at my brother and I was like, I'm getting season tickets. I was like, this is enough for me. I love this. So did the march, started at Mecklenburg Gardens, did the march to the stadium, and yeah, the atmosphere that the guys in the Bailey bring every single match for 90 minutes it's infectious. And I've gotten so many people similar stories. Never big on soccer. I take them to one game and they're like, when can you take me back? And I was like, just call me anytime, we can do this.
We had the Bangalorean on a few episodes ago, and he was the same way. I don't know if he was listening to you or where his inspiration was, but he's like, you know what? I love the city. Let's go check out a game. And then he was like, oh my gosh, I've heard Bengals fans go, we should march the Paycor. We should, because you're at a tape tailgate. And then I heard the comments, and I would agree with the comments. It's like, yeah, they're not sober enough to really march.
It'd be an interesting march.
I think September you could probably do it, but November people are like, yeah, no.
Too cool.
No. So good. So you do some marching. Some of the chants?
I do know a couple of them. We're trying to learn a couple of the new ones so far this year. So thank God for what's the website? The Incline on there. We're having all those chants on there. So we have to brush up on them every now and then.
You can search Cincy chants. I think the Pride has some of the older, well, not the older ones, but they have most of them. So it's good. I've been a day one season ticket holder and a lifelong soccer fan. So
nice.
I've learned some of them. Now I've forgotten some of them. It's like, remember that one we did the first 2 years? We don't do anymore. It's like, so yeah. So now it was like 3 chants, and then you got real tired of them. Now we have a whole selection. So it's fun. It's fun to do that. I would say anybody who's any of the Bengal fans, a Tyler fan who's stumbled upon this, maybe your first foray isn't in the Bailey, but your second foray will be in the Bailey. You just check it out, just absorb it. I have a great little anecdote I've said before. I'm sure you're probably in that same kind of thing. I asked my wife. That's how I got the tickets. I called her up and I said, they're going to have a team here, and I thought this was going to be several days of debate. She goes, go buy tickets. Go back. Go ahead. So I do. So she goes, I don't know anything about soccer. She's like, what's that? Well, why did they stop play? It's, oh, he was offsides, right? Trying to explain offsides for the first time. Fast forward a year later, so proud, sitting there, and the ball goes through. The flag stays down, and my wife stands up. She goes, he is offsides. Just yelling, he's offsides. I'm like, that's my girl. That is amazing. So you're like that probably now. You're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, a little bit. So I've tried to just pick up as much as I can. I love Saturday morning Premier Leagues. That's like I love Saturday mornings, just to get to watch those guys and then kind of get a little bit hyped up for the games on Saturday night. I've been playing a lot of FIFA, trying to learn as much there, just trying to get a feel for the game. So different ways. Actually, I just ordered a book off Amazon today. It was one of the books I was in Ted Lasso that Coach Beard was reading. I think it was like History of Tactics and something like that. So trying to take my soccer education to a whole another level. We'll see how this turns out. But it is a fairly easy game to pick up.
It is. It's a lot of fun. If you don't know anything, you're just watching the action. But it's not just the action, right? The fans are part of this experience. I've been to AFC championship games, and and World Series games, and that's where you get some excitement, right? Even when things aren't happening, people are kind of murmuring and kind of into it, and strikes certain situations, you start getting into it. I mean, even AFC Championship games, you're pretty much standing up the 60 minutes plus, I guess.
Yeah.
But there's just, you got to wait for something to happen, right? If it's 3rd and 8, you're hoping that you get the first down, but if you get 7 yards, then everybody calms down, you punt, you wait until it's defense, and then you get back into it again. That's not like that in soccer, at least with when you see the Bailey, is that they're always going, they're always singing, they're always jumping. The greatest thing that I love to do, the greatest thing I've ever seen, is when we score a goal, go see the goal celebrations. I'm sure you've seen them. Seeing them on video does not do them justice.
Oh no, absolutely not.
I was in the Bailey where we scored 5 goals, and 2 of the 5 goals were also were disallowed. So we scored 7 goals in total. Like 4 goals in the first half. I was wore out. I was like let's try maybe one more goal. I think that's all I got in me. But because we score a goal, we jump up and down and chant and move our arms and wave. I have a buddy of mine who stands on the rails 90 minutes plus and chanting.
Oh my.
Aaron is amazing. I did it at the Riverhounds game because I was a guest of his. I sat in that section instead of the brigade section, and I did it for like 3 minutes, and I was like, my hands, I think I'm gonna pull a hammy if I keep doing this. So I fortunately I'm tall enough that I can just stand and watch. So I have a good question for you. Did you watch the Riverhounds game at all? The U.S. Open Cup game?
I was actually there in the Bailey. So my wife. Oh, go ahead.
Did you rate the tackle that the Riverhounds did on Lucho?
Oh man, you're talking about the one where he like grabbed him from behind, right?
Yes.
That was the only tackle on Lucho.
So he left his feet and made a touchdown saving tackle.
I couldn't believe that wasn't a red card.
I couldn't believe it was a red card either.
Oh
I don't think anybody in the Bailey would thought, I've never seen anything like that, right? So professional fouls is you grab somebody, maybe you hold them up, but I've never seen anybody leave their feet and 2 arms. It's just form tackling. So anybody who thinks soccer isn't a contact sport obviously didn't see that play, because that was clearly of course, if you're a Bengals fan, then that was a Steeler, right? It's a Pittsburgh,
right.
A Pittsburgh player doing an illegal thing.
I think I saw a rumor that the Steelers gave him an invite after the game. So
he's now their 3rd round pick.
Yeah.
So we are in a little bit of a break. 40 points, 17 matches. We're halfway done. We have a segment on this broadcast called Bad Takes. I'm going to let you do a bad take. Where do you see us at the end of 34 matches? Now that we've halfway there.
Ooh, man. I mean, optimism is sky high right now. They're playing phenomenal. We just got the new DP coming in, Aaron Bupenza, I think, if I said that right.
Yep.
He's very exciting. I can't wait to see. I hope he does the backflip, because that is a phenomenal goal celebration. So hopefully we see a lot of backflips, the rest of the season. Man, let's shoot high. Let's just go ahead and take home the Supporters Shield.
I think we're still in line for the treble. I don't know about the quad. So the MLS treble will be the Supporters Shield. For those who don't know, the Supporters Shield is finishing 1st place in the entire league. That's a thing in soccer. Winning the MLS Cup and winning the U.S. Open Cup. And we have another competition that we play with Mexican teams. We have a chance for that too. So it just really depends. Missing Vasquez and Miazga for a few matches while they're in U.S. men's. This is the problem of having a good team, is that your good players get called up to national duty. Football fans don't have, there's only one country that plays football, so there isn't really a World Cup of football. That would be very cool.
Interesting.
But so we have some of our players are missing. We have to fill in with some players. I think we could hold having a break, having gone through our gauntlet, having another 4 or 5 months to get through the next 17 matches and some other matches sprinkled in there. I think we're going to win the Supporter Shield. I think we got 8 points is a buffer. It's not a great buffer. We still have to play Nashville here. That's July 15th. If we could beat Nashville or even draw Nashville at home, but I'd rather beat them and get more than a double-digit lead. I think we could hang on until the reinforcements come back from the U.S. men's team. Mm-hmm. So, have you ever heard of Messi?
I mean, I haven't heard that name brought up once this week.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if you've read any of the things that have been going on since he was announced. Nobody knows if he's actually playing. They actually haven't even finalized the deal. He's just saying, I'm coming, right? So he may not play until next year, but because they announced him, every game that Miami plays, home and away, is sold out. Every game. Like within 2 days, sold out. So to put it in perspective, we have a U.S. competition called the U.S. Open Cup. The River Hounds, it was $5.13 to sit in the Bailey. Now it's $50. It was $30 to sit in the First Financial, which is the lower section. Think club seats. Now it's $113.
Oh man!
So
I saw my seats, which they're normally 30, 34, 35, somewhere in there. I think they was 60 for the Open Cup game. So a little bit pricey. Yeah. Have you looked at any of the secondary markets for what people are trying to sell them for?
Well, I have not seen that. I don't think they've released any of the tickets yet. So right now, it's fortunately right. So season ticket holders get first dibs. And what I had heard is that season ticket holders, if they bought seats, can purchase additional seats. So I don't know if the general public is even going to see a seat. They may not. I don't know how that's going to work. But yeah, so it was, and at the River Hounds, I could have bought 6 seats. I could have bought 6 seats anywhere that they were selling them. No worries, no problems. Now it's like, get your seats, and you're lucky if you get anything else. So.
Oh man,
it's going to be off the hook. So obviously as a season ticket holder, you have seen hell is real. Pittsburgh is your rival as a Bengals. Ours is Columbus. You should know them. You would hate them automatically. This is the best part. If you're a Bengals fan and you're watching this and you're seeing Tyler, and Tyler says, come see this episode. Look, our rivals are a few hours away, but they wear yellow and black. That's all you need to know. You don't need to know anything else.
It's an easy transition.
It's just like, I hate that team. I hate that team. Why are they yellow and black?
And they're owned by they're owned by the Cleveland Browns too.
It doesn't matter what sport you are. If it's yellow and black, it's like, I don't know who they are. I just don't like you.
Exactly. Plus they're owned by the Browns, so that's a double negative right there.
There you go. And you know how Browns fans are. They're very quiet, and they don't talk much about how good their team is.
Absolutely not.
Even when they're not. So I was thinking about starting a new segment here called FCC Counseling, but all the voices in my head sound the same, so I couldn't do it.
I like it.
So tell me, if for those on my soccer friends who don't know who Tyler is, he has a podcast. Do you have more than one podcast, or is it just I know you do the Bengals counseling. Explain your podcast.
Okay. So more TikToks than anything, just little minute segments. Sorry, my dog's going a little crazy here. But yeah, little minute segments about kind of what's going on amongst the Bengals fan base. It's got 4 different personalities, kind of your negative Bengals fan, your more positive Bengals fan, and then, a couple other characters in there as well. And basically they just kind of go around saying, exchange jabs about, what's going on Bengals Twitter is essentially what it's based around. So, just for a couple laughs, it's kind of cheesy. I've seen some people kind of compare it to Ted Lasso humor. So yeah, that's kind of essentially what it is.
So we do have a lot of football and soccer dual fans on our side. I'm sure you have some as well, and I know we're getting more. So if you haven't seen any of his podcasts, you just put one out for the pro am baseball. I just
Uh,
saw that one recently.
Logan Wilson had a charity softball game last night up here in Dayton. So yeah, I did a little fun skit for that, and yeah, just had a little fun with it. Try to
He's got personalities. He's got hoodies. He's got glasses. He's got all kinds of things. It's a fun it's a fun little thing to do. So with not much soccer to talk about, not that I did bring you on because there's not much soccer to talk about, but it is what it is. Tell me how you got involved. You told me a little bit about how you and your brother started, but how did you really get involved in soccer, and what hooked you, and how are your Bengal brethren responding to you?
So yeah, like I said, me and my brother went to London in 2016, checked out Chelsea, and FCC was getting started at that time. I think even that Pittsburgh game in 2017, I know it was an orange out. I think they had a couple Bengals players come in for that game as well. So that would it just seemed perfect. It's like, okay, that's the game we're going to go to, and we was like, if we're going to do this, we want to do this right. Die Innenstadt was the first supporter group that we heard of. We saw what they was doing out at Mecklenburg Gardens. It's like, all right, let's go check it out. And one thing that I really love, and not this isn't a knock on Bengals or any other fan base, but the FCC fan base is so welcoming. Whether you're a day one, soccer fan, or you've been watching soccer all your life and you're just trying to root for the local team. FCC the FCC fan base just brings everybody in, and I see it time and time again, especially this season with Bengals fans, kind of like on the edge. Should I go check out a game? Should I not? And I see so many FCC supporters, and definitely I've seen you out there as well, Matt, welcoming people in. So that was another thing that really grabbed us, was just how inclusive the FCC fan base is, and man, the energy and the atmosphere that is at the stadium. Like me and my brother have been going to Bengals games for 20 plus years now. So, but we've never felt anything like an FCC game, because it is 90 minutes of just nonstop cheering. And as FCC fans, we've seen some highs, and for a couple years there, we've seen some really bad lows, but supporters always brought that excitement and joy to the stadium, whether we was up 5-0 or down 7-1. Don't want to bring up the Minnesota game, but
I've been to so many 5-1 road losses. I can tell you that here's the one thing that I think for football fans, not to break up the interview a little bit, but you don't usually go to Pittsburgh or Cleveland. You can, maybe if you know somebody, right?
Yeah.
You don't usually go up there unless it's a championship game, a playoff game of some sort. But if it's a mid-season, you're like, yeah, I'm not going. That is not true at soccer. They have their own special section. It's the crappiest section that they can put because they're selling it for their home fans. But we do have our own section, and we go. And I've been told several times not to go to any more road games, because apparently every time I go, they lose.
Just a minor coincidence. Don't worry about it.
So yeah, I mean, so I said this to Ben Glory, and I'll ask this to you. So we went to St. Louis. We survived a tornado. We had a 2-hour delay. We played the game. It's midnight. Their supporter bar is right across the street, and they're like, "Hey, let's go over." And so we went over to the supporter bar, and they bought us drinks. They felt sorry for us for beating us bad, but they bought us drinks. Does that happen at Pittsburgh, or let's just say like Denver, or some team that you don't play very often? Would you be able to just walk across the street into their bar and have them buy you drinks if you lost like 28-14?
I tell you what, me and my buddies went to Baltimore in 2017, I think it was. And it was late in the year. We was a bad team. We went to a bar afterwards, which is just it sounds like pretty similar setup, just down the road a little bit from M&T Bank Stadium. And we kept to ourselves. Nobody talked to us. We got some looks, and we got out of there after one beer. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be happening with NFL teams.
That's we hate each other for the 90 minutes, but before or after, you're going to meet a lot of cool people. I love doing it because I can go to Austin, Charlotte. I've been to those places, St. Louis. Just so happens I'm in Florida the week of the Miami game. So my wife said before the Messi thing even happened, she goes, why don't we just go down to Miami for the game? I was like, okay. So we're flying down there now. I just got to wait for the away tickets to show up. At this point, I'm pot committed because I've got a flight from Orlando to Miami and a flight out of Miami. So I'm going to Miami. I'm definitely going to have to go see the game as long as we get the away tickets. So
Nice.
So that's a lot of fun. So, and if you're a new fan, a football fan, don't be afraid to not know what's going on. Most fans, particularly if they're somewhat knowledgeable, they would be more than happy to explain what's going on. It's just, oh, what's that? Oh, what's that? Don't worry about it. Ask, particularly ahead of time, because people will definitely want to take care of you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. And that's another thing too, is when anybody asks me about going to FCC games, I was like, they're like, I want to sit in the Bailey. And I was like, you don't have to sit in the Bailey. It's a lot to take in your first game, but I do highly recommend being as close as you can if you don't sit in there. So, but yeah, it's yeah.
So I know Bangaloreans has been, and he's enjoyed it. I saw that Bengals captain obvious, or Bengals captain now.
Yeah.
He sat in the Bailey and he said, and I quote, I almost lost my voice. It's like, well, then you didn't do it hard enough. We don't sound nice the next day. It takes a couple of days before you get it. But once you get a mid-season form, you're used to doing that. Do you have any other high target Bengal hardcores that have hit you up on DMs or whatnot and said, when should I do this?
There's a couple. I mean, there's a couple. Maybe not maybe not as high profile as the Bangalorean captain, but there's a couple of them that reach out to me every now and then, and like, hey, where should I sit at? And like I said, I give them the same advice every time: just sit as close to the Bailey, check out this, reach out to certain people to go. And yeah, I always appreciate when I see that crossover coming, because I remember the excitement of my first game and how quickly hooked I was on it. And I think I tell everybody, it's like, just give it one shot and I guarantee you get hooked. And I think my record's perfect so far. I don't think I've had one person come back and say, it's not for me. I've always had people come back and say, I need to get back to another game.
That's fantastic. Well, we're running about out of time. Is there any final words or shameless plugs or anything you'd like to say before leaving?
No plugs tonight. But I really appreciate you having me on here. It's great to get a little bit more invested in the FCC community. Like I said, I've been a season ticket holder since 2018. I try to do little game day vlog videos. They're not great, but it's at least content out there to keep Bengals fans kind of like, all right, what's he doing now? But hopefully it's at least bringing in some fans for for our orange and blue faithful.
So do I have to worry about podcast competition?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So I just like the perspective of everybody. It's not just Bailey hardcore. So if you're interested, if you're a Bengals fan, not a fan of any particular sport, but want to talk about how to become a fan, we could do that too. So, and one last thing for you Bengals fans, it's FCC, not FC. We deal with it, but it's not the FC, it's FCC. But we all make the mistakes once or twice, so don't worry about it. We're not gonna we're way past trying to correct you guys.
Every time I see that, it's like nails on a chalkboard. I'm like, how do I correct this without sounding like just a snob about it? But like, come on, guys, it's FCC.
I just deal with it now. Hey, how's FC doing? They're doing fine. Yeah, all of them are doing fine. Well, that's all the time that I have. Thank you, Tyler, for joining us, and thank you for listening to another beautiful episode, well produced and highly organized FCC Supporter Square. For Tyler, I'm Matt, and I will see you next time.